Hello everybody, Frank Monde Osé here, coming to you from Costa Rica, where I am preparing to receive you all for the Living Temple Culture event that I have created along with my partners Blake and Brianna. I want to take a little moment to share with you what Living Temple Culture is. Living Temple Culture to me is the logical next step to our sexual shamanism work which we've been doing, repeating, assisting at. This training is designed to take us into the next phase of our personal development and committing to this, what we're calling temple culture. As we've done this work, we've learned so much. We've reclaimed sovereignty, we've shed shame, we've reclaimed pleasure and our body, and that is absolutely phenomenal. It changed my life, and I know it changed a lot of your life. And what I noticed was that there's a gap in the field, and the gap that I noticed is this piece of taking on the sovereignty teaching and recognizing that my boundaries, my interest, my pleasure, my desire is all very important and relative. However, what I have noticed is that, rumblings through the field is that I keep hearing this piece where people say, yeah, sovereignty is all good, but nobody is taking responsibility for their behaviors because the interpretation of the teachings we got is that my emotions are mine, your emotions are yours, so you take care of your emotions and I'll take care of my emotions. And foundationally, that's the truth. However, when we are in a community setting or even in a relational setting, sovereignty is not enough. If we desire relationship with another, we must bring in another value, which is synergy. And synergy is about how does my sovereignty meet your sovereignty, and where does it meet and how do they coalesce? And so the Living Temple Culture is the entrance into the mindset and the focus or the value of synergy when we want to be in relationship with another or in relationship with the collective or the community. So, Living Temple Culture is a live, organic experience. It has a curriculum, but what we're doing here is we are leaning in to unpack and figure out what is temple culture. We're hearing this name. We know we have temple nights and we have temple parties and we go to temple, but what does it mean when we start to say, I am participating in temple culture? If you're going to temple nights and whatnot, you're participating in temple culture. In our previous studies, we were focusing from the temple perspective in the lower chakras. We were reclaiming our root. We were reclaiming our desire as righteous, as okay, as delicious, right? And so when we would go into our temple nights as part of the container, our 1 week container of sexual shamanism, in that first program, the focus had to be getting comfortable, clearing the basement of the shame, fear, and guilt, as well as reclaiming our body and our sexuality, our desire, and our pleasure. So the themes of all the temple nights throughout that week were typically Eros temples. And this is where Living Temple Culture begins to diverge from what else is happening in the field. So although we are reclaiming our pleasure and our body and our lower chakras, the parrots are here, we also have to recognize that temple culture is not limited to just my Eros and sex and connection and lust. It has to go beyond that. Or else we just get trapped in the hedonistic cycle of chasing pleasure. Pleasure is a great value, but if we're willing to forego immediate gratification for long-term happiness, then we must start to see what else brings us joy and happiness beyond the lower chakras of the root and the sacral. So living temple culture really starts to bring us into the raising of that energy from the root, from the sacral, into the solar plexus, the heart, the voice, our expression, our connection to the transpersonal, the third eye, and then our crown, which is our connection to the transcendent. That said, this journey will take us through the 5 rites of passage, which has come to me through Venus Rising Association for Transformation and Star and Nico Wolf. This is a map of shamanic healing that I currently overlay all my teachings on. And what they look like is the spiral path, family of origin, inner beloved, shadow hunting, and sacred purpose. So our journey will be based on this map of coming to shamanic wholeness, doing a spiral of personal development, going through these 5 rites of passage, and harvesting all the pieces, not only for ourselves, but as well as for how can we bring in and how do we connect our consciousnesses together in the circle. So our cohort at Living Temple Culture will come together, form a circle. Individually, we will all intend to open our channels to call in the messages and the energies that will support us to grow, expand, see our blind spots, open with compassion to those pieces, and lean into our own personal healing. However, Living Temple Culture is also focused on the synergy and beginning the journey into the transpersonal. For those of you who have worked with the transpersonal, this is great. We will go into it. Those of you who have never touched about the transpersonal, have no idea, great. It's fine. This will be the journey to start learning about it. And so what does this mean? This means that when we move through life, we are having a personal experience, which is like my emotions, my experience, our misunderstanding. That's all personal stuff. And then there will also be the opportunity to drop in and get these messages and apply them to the transpersonal side of yourself, the side of yourself that is bigger than your personality, more transcendent to your personality. It might call it the soul or even beyond. And so in Living Temple Culture, we're calling in this energy and we're using ourselves as a channel connected to the rest of the circle in a collective experience that invites wisdom, knowledge, experience to illuminate for us what we need to know as the next steps on our journey into temple culture. So when I say this course is called Living Temple Culture, the active word of living is the piece that no one at the front, in the terms of the facilitators, have all the answers. We are living it. Together we are committing to the practice of the 5 rites of passage and the journey that we're going to go through. And we are calling in the messages that are perfect or ideal for this circle. So in my experience, when I've run this training, I've done it once before as a pilot. When I've run this training, what tends to happen is we call through a actual pillar of temple culture. So when I'm saying we're living it, it's through our co-experience, our coexistence, our co-witnessing of each other's journey, and how we add these ingredients to the pot. And when we alchemize this, what I have learned is that we will find a beautiful new pillar of what temple culture is. So as the lead facilitator, I have a instinct, I have an intuition. I'm being drawn to an area that's asking to be much more self-reflective as a community in terms of what we're doing and what we're offering. Me personally, I'm not satisfied with only having Eros temples. I know Eros is fun. I know Eros is the life force that activates. I know Eros needs to be present in almost every experience to bring liveliness and passion. I'm Italian and everybody knows I'm very passionate. I'm very tuned into my root and my sacral chakras, which supports me to move my erotic energy throughout my body. However, what I'm interested in and what I want to cultivate is to begin to raise the consciousness beyond Eros and use Eros to feed power, use Eros to feed the heart, use Eros to feed our connection to the transpersonal, and use Eros to open ourselves to the transcendent. So like I said, we have a map, we have a plan, but the missing ingredient is you. We need you. We need you to come. We need you to experience through the lens of the personal and transpersonal. And we want your feedback. We want your experience. And through these experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's surprising. Sometimes it's the breakdowns and the breakthroughs that actually support us to move beyond and call in the new messaging or the new practices or the elevation or the raising of values and priorities when we are working in the temple culture. So that's just a brief synopsis. I hope it touches you. This course is an advanced container. We're expecting people to understand sovereignty, be able to take care of their own emotions, be able to process, be able to have difficult conversations, be able to move in containers where we're using Eros and self-pleasure and nudity and even sacred spot to process some of what is going to emerge. Check out livingtempleculture.com for a list of all the prerequisites, the date, the time, and a bit more of the vision of the why I'm doing this. You know, I've been part of temple culture now for over 12 years, and I feel very proud to have been one of the pioneers of this work. And I'm at a place now where we are reflecting. First of all, we're reflecting on the last dozen to 20 years of the work that I picked up through my mentors. And we're reflecting on that work, and we are looking at where we can begin to elevate it, mature it. In every culture, it takes maturity in order for us to learn and to grow. And just like an individual's personal development path, so is temple culture or any organization that we were part of that was pioneering this work. And so the idea is to look on the way we were doing things in the past and recognizing that it is a time of maturity. It is a time of more responsibility. It is a time of personal accountability as well as organizational accountability. And it's for this reason where I felt like I wanted to do more. I wanted to offer something deeper. I wanted to support the maturity or the maturing process of this field. And so Living Temple Culture is mine, Brianna, and Blake's best effort to bring to you a fresh new curriculum that uses presentations, so transmissions, demonstrations, as well as experiential for you to go through. So this course will be a lot more ritual based than any intro to sexual shamanism course that you have been through. When we do these intro courses, level 1s or whatever they're called, we often have to do a lot of remedial work. So we got to learn wheel of consent, we got to learn emotional release, we got to claim our pleasure. And what the Living Temple Culture does, by being a temple initiate who has graduated from some of this work, allows us to dive deeper and quicker into content, because we don't have to spend time explaining the practice as much as allowing us to create new contexts and new frames to which we could apply personal development work to transpersonal development work. And so I'm so eager for you to get this transmission. If you want to go onto livingtempleculture.com, you could scroll all the way down to the bottom. There's testimonials from my first pilot project with this course, of which myself, Brianna, and Blake have continued to cultivate, fine-tune, and adjust. The last piece I want to talk about is people that are our leaders. If you're a leader in the community, if you're somebody that finds themselves organizing temples or organizing festivals or organizing events that bring people together in and around sexual shamanism or temple culture, this training is for you. Because every evening we will do a deeper dive into what is temple. We will slow everything down, and I will, together with my co-facilitators, guide you through the premise of what is healthy relational suggestions when we are going into temple. And it won't only come from like me teaching you and giving you the lessons of the 5 elements that are required to be a powerful temple initiate in temple contexts. We will live them viscerally. We will go through them one at a time, and by the end of the week, you will notice that if these foundational aspects are not present as guidelines for your temples, that you will recognize that maybe our temple nights are a bit too superficial. My great desire is really to start to present what more prayerfulness in temple. If you've been in a training with me, you know that I focus on intention and the sacred and prayer in my temple nights. However, being at a level 1 or whatnot, like I said, focusing on practicing our Eros temples, we make mistakes, we find ourselves uncomfortable, we don't know how we fit in sometimes, whatever the story is. This course really supports us to understand the foundational aspects of what we need in order to set a solid, powerful, and safe temple, and to begin the conversation of how can we bring more sacred, more prayerfulness in temples, instead of saying, it's sacred because we set an intention. I know the storyline. I was one of the people that was pushing that forward, the one of, at least if we're going to do temple, we're going to at least say a prayer or an intention. That's the minimum. And so I don't know what's going out in the field, but through the echoes, I have learned that, there seems to be a lack of the prayerfulness and sacred in the field. And that's not pointing fingers at anybody, but more recognizing that God's just there because we lack a certain level of maturity or experience. So this is our intention for temple culture, is to come together as a collective, build a cohort, commit ourselves to going through another spiral of personal development, but recognizing this time that we will open ourselves to transpersonal messaging and connection to this collective messaging, and to see what is the message that the soul of this collective group is asking to be seen. Where is it begging us to say, hey, pay attention, because this is the next temple pillar. I've taken about 20 minutes so far. I want to celebrate the success of this course and the excitement around it. We have already, we're 75% complete for the December 5th to 11th training taking place in Marbella, Costa Rica, on a beach called Playa Azul, in a luxury accommodation. I know luxury accommodations are often used, but this one is truly a luxury accommodation, beachfront, and clothing optional. Like I said, we are already 3/4 full. We have about a dozen spaces left. So I've put out this video to reach those last 12 people, as I know this is new content, but trust, have faith that it is building on the foundations that we have already built together, whether it be with me, whether it be with Brianna or Blake or whatnot. You know our energy, you know how we hold our containers, you know our commitment to this work, and you know how important it is to us and how much of trailblazers we are in order to keep evolving the content and the values and the ethics around this work. So we are excited to have you. Remember, it's an advanced container. Only apply and sign up if you feel confident with those prerequisites, and I can't wait to see you there. Remember, 12 spaces left. If you want to participate in this first luxury living temple culture experience in Costa Rica, which is very close by to the land myself, Jacob, and Gil has purchased, of which we are cultivating in order to have true living temple culture. We will be creating a temple community where we will be harvesting these lessons of these living temple cultures, and that will be the foundation of the standards of the land project that we are bringing to life here. I'm so excited. I've talked enough, 25 minutes. I hope this was enough. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Blake, or Brianna. We're so happy to talk to you about this. And yeah, as I always sign off, let love free, because it's the only way we'll ever change anything. Peace. Mwah.